Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From Pixel Legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
So then I switched them out with 346 cheese that put me at 4.7 ohms over what the engine usually runs at, which got this really sweet humming. It was like, and I have no idea what I'm talking about.
That's great. You know, it's funny that you're talking about a car thing, because before I came online to meet up with you, I was watching YouTube, and I was watching this channel that I have never seen before, but they had a lawyer on who I do follow, and they were talking about illegal car accessories and just how illegal they are. And it was the one where they have like a thing that covers your license plate, so you can go through an intersection and not have a photo taken of it, and radar detectors and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting.
Did they cover a top-mounted Sidewinder missile?
No, this is stuff that you can like buy off of Amazon.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It was funny too, because they had examples of everything that they were showing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because one of them or one of their friends had it on their vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, and they were talking with the lawyer, and it's funny because the guys who they're car guys, and you could tell they're car guys. They're dressed in t-shirts and jeans, and they look like car guys. Mm-hmm. And the lawyer is dressed to the T as if he's about to walk into a courtroom. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got a multi-piece suit on, like, and most of the time he's not even wearing the outer jacket. He just has the vest on. Mm-hmm. He looks like the librarian for Buffy, but clothing wise, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's such a fish out of water.
Mm. Well, you got to look the part.
What's that?
You got to look the part. I mean, you can't be like, I'm a lawyer and be sitting there like in a Speedo.
Well, yeah, but then you would dress it down, but stay in character. So a dress down to stay in character with this would be, you would be wearing like a polo shirt, mm-hmm. and then maybe some khaki, and that you're dressing down, because you're dressing like you're going to at least you're dressing like you're going to a sporting event of some kind, where you're participating in said event, like golfing. You're going golfing because you're going to
something like you're dressing to go to a rich snob party.
Well, he's dressed like that though. He's dressed like he's like, like he's about to go meet the queen. Mm. It's like, I know the queen passed away, but still, like, I still can't wrap my head around the fact that it's the king of England now. Mm. It's so weird when something's the same way for your whole life.
I mean, what do you want? Do you want the car guys to be like dressed in bondage or something?
No, the car guys were dressed like they're supposed to be. They're dressed like a bunch of guys who work on cars.
You can have one of the car guys with like a leash around his neck held by the lawyer guy.
What?
I mean, is that what you want?
No, I want the lawyer to just dress a little less like he's about to go meet the king.
Okay, good, because I wouldn't want that either.
You're hanging out with a bunch of guys in the garage. Dress it down a little bit.
It's like
just a little bit.
It's like the Naked Gun part where he's gets back and he's like, "Can I slip into something a little more comfortable?" And he still comes out with I think in a suit and tie or something like that.
My new favorite one is from Police Squad, where they're talking to somebody and she's like, "Do you mind if I change?" And she goes behind the thing that they have for people. I forget what it's called. It's the thing where it's like, it's just a standing thing that you can stand behind and you can change while someone's in the room with you.
Yeah.
It goes behind there and she comes back and it's a different actress in the same outfit.
Uh-huh.
So that's what she meant by change.
All right. So we got quite a. What's that?
Oh, I was about to start talking about. I was about to lead into some of the stuff that we were going to be covering as with the transition. Talking about.
Okay, yeah. So We got quite a bit. So, well, the first thing we should be starting with is the all classic. You speak, we regurgitate.
Okay, you want to start with that? Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. Which I want to point out when we do you speak, we regurgitate, it doesn't mean that they're bad comments all the time. It doesn't mean that it's nothing that it's something that we disagree with. It's just comments that we want to point out for a specific reason. And today we have two of them that are not bad comments. They're actually really good comments. So I wanted to bring those ones out. The first one that I'm wanting to bring is this one right here. This was on the Bloomin' News for yesterday. And normally I protect the people, but this person's a hero. So thank you, Vince, for this one. He mentioned that the Beanie Stories on I Want was postponed. I didn't know that. So I wanted to bring that out in case anyone who watched the Bloomin' News yesterday is listening right now and wondering, why they can't get to it. That's why. So thank you for letting us know that. The other one is on Back to School.
All right.
And this is from Previous Image. And Previous Image said, an absolute classic. I was fortunate enough to see this in the theater when it first came out. Unfortunately, that makes me kind of old. It still completely holds up. I tend to rewatch at least every 2 years. Favorite line, bring us a pitcher of beer every 7 minutes till someone passes out, then bring one every 10. Okay. So the comment what's that?
That's a great line.
Yeah. The point that I want to come out, unfortunately, that makes me kind of old. No, you are not old. If you are watching this every couple years and it still holds up and you're enjoying it, you are not old. You are doing life completely right.
It's weird because they watch it every couple of years they watch it, where I watched this movie twice.
I've seen it quite a bit. I used to see it a lot on TV. When we had like the movie channel. So it would appear when they're running it, they usually have it appear a couple times a day. So I'd run into it every few days or so, and I'd sit down and watch it, even though I just watched it recently, because it's just kind of a good, relaxing movie to watch.
It's like if we ever there's movies where I've seen them like over and over again just because my grandfather had the hot box and it got the pay-per-view channels. It just repeated movies over and over and over and over again. So like Major Pain, I've seen that a bunch of times. And Shawshank Redemption, I've seen that a bunch of times. It's crazy, because you watch a movie. It's like, especially when you're a kid. Well, like, I mean, like a kid, like even a teenager, like, all of a sudden you just want to hear the same song over and over and over again, or watch the same movie over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. This Shawshank Redemption, I've only seen once in my whole life. And it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of getting forced to watch this movie. But yet that movie is on TV all the time. Because when there was some channel that I believe held the rights to it or something.
TNT.
Yeah, so they just ran it like every other hour. They're like, we're going to start it up. We are in the middle of the Shawshank Redemption. On this commercial break, we're going to start showing the Shawshank Redemption.
It's crazy too. Like some of the cable services and the satellite services, you get the East Coast feed and the West Coast feed. Mm-hmm. So you can you'll see in the channel guide, it'll say Shawshank Redemption, and on the West Coast feed, it's like starting in the middle.
You start in the middle, and then you're like, okay, I got to go back and see how it got to this point. So you watch it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that actually happened to me one time. That it was Punch Drunk Love, the Adam Sandler movie, and I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but if you have, it's completely different than what he usually does. And I went to go see it with somebody. We walked in and the movie had already started. And we sat down and we watched it, and we were so completely confused. And then all of a sudden it ended, and we're like, dude, there's no way this movie was like 40 minutes long. And we walked out, and we were talking, and there was a guy that was working there. I'm like, we're really confused here. We bought tickets to this specific showing, and he's like, yeah, you're fine. You can go see it. And I realized at that point, it was a daylight savings day.
Oh,
So we had to change our clocks. What was it? 1 hour. I'm trying to think which direction we had to go. I guess it was 1 hour forward because we showed up to the showing beforehand, halfway through the movie. And we didn't realize it until talking with this guy. The guy's like, well, yeah, you're still fine to go see it. Well, of course we are, because we bought the tickets.
And it just made me, every time I think of daylight savings time and like screw ups like that, I think about we used to go to this congregational church when I was a kid, and we went there, and it was like service was like at 10, and we it was when the clocks go back, right? So we're going there, and it's actually 9 o'clock, but we think it's 10, and we're trying to, and the doors are locked. So we end up going home and missing church for the day. And I work for a church now, and I'm like, if somebody, dude, like our doors are unlocked like 2-3 hours before service starts. We have people who come in like on Sunday mornings. They're there like I think as early as like 7 o'clock, and service starts at 9:30. It's like that's so like for that congregational church to wait to open the doors until a specific time. I'm like, that's not very inviting.
Yeah, true.
Especially on a day where it is daylight savings time, and people are going to screw up.
Yep.
You account for that. Like so when we do something at like we did something last year, we did a theater, and all the campuses were closed. Even though we told everybody, and we put out notices on social media, and we sent out emails and word of mouth, we still made sure to put signs in the doors for all of our locations, because we knew people were still going to show up. They do.
Okay, so there's another thing that I want to jump in here while since we got to start getting through this before we get to your stuff, Ben. No offense here. I do want to go over the schedule for October. Next Sunday's probably going to, when we're recording next Sunday, is probably going to be a very busy episode, so we might not get to the schedule for October, so I might as well just knock it out right now. So here's what's coming up on the BM show. October 5th, we have, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess superheroes in disguise. So these are movies that you might not even realize are comics, or maybe you do, but they've been overshadowed by something else. So the fact they were comics kind of gets pushed aside. And we got a lot of movie reviews for this one. So what we have lined up for this one episode is Howard the Duck, Ninja Turtles, Blade, Red, Kick-Ass, and maybe, if we get to it in time, Hellboy. So 5 to possibly 6 movie reviews in one episode.
That's insane.
That's crazy. I feel sorry for our editor.
Our poor editor. I feel so bad for all the hours that he'll have to sit here and.
Ben, do me a favor. Get our editor a present.
Yeah,
give him a hug.
I'll give him a right now. Oh, here you go, buddy. Get back to work, slave.
So that's gonna be for October. So that's gonna be for October 5th. October 12th is going to be a special Watch Us Die plus a Watch Ben Die so you don't have to episode. We are going to be playing Heretic and Hexen. And Ben is going to play a game that he doesn't even know what that game is. He's not going to know what that game is until he has to play it.
Yeah, so, like Mike's literally going to send me, like, while we're recording, he's going to send me the Steam key, and I will learn what game it is when I redeem the key. So you'll be able to hear my reaction to finding out what wonderful game I'll be playing. And then yeah, you'll get to watch me play it.
And die probably a lot.
We'll have to test that because I've been using my Mac to record. I'll have to do my PC for that, but I had the link and everything. Like I think we did like one of the episodes with this software where I was on the other computer. So
Do you have Steam on your Mac?
I could, I might. Let me
Okay, so
check.
I'm gonna go to the
I
store
don't do
page.
a lot of gaming on the Mac. It's not really a game machine.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. No, it looks like this one's only Windows. Well,
Okay.
darn. Okay, so yeah, we'll have to do it on the Windows one. So okay, but we'll obviously got a couple weeks to figure that one out. So you guys don't have to worry. We'll get a solution for you all to enjoy watching Ben fail,
Yes.
and then you also get to watch both of us fail together. So that'll be a fun little episode. After that is October 19th. That is actually going to be our gaming episode for the month rather than the last episode. And those are going to be horror games, the good, the bad, and the not so scary. So we're just going to go list our opinions on horror games that have kind of stuck out to us. If they stuck out in a good way, if they stuck out in a bad way, or if they stuck out in a way that we kind of wish that we were one of the victims in the game and didn't have to see it go any further than it did.
It'll be one of those episodes where we're probably going to mention Resident Evil in some.
Oh yeah, it's probably going to be Resident Evil in it.
Yeah.
Well,
If we go to RPGs, like, we're probably going to mention Final Fantasy.
exactly. So the final one, October 26th, is going to be special movie reviews. These are going to be Halloween movies, not the Halloween movie series, or maybe it will be. It just depends. These are going to be Halloween themed movies or scary themed movies or whatnot. However, there's a catch here. Ben's going to pick one. I'm going to pick one. We won't know what that one is until probably the week beforehand. So we don't know what we're watching that day. Well, each of us knows 50% of what we'll be watching that day.
What if we don't even tell the listeners? And
We won't.
Yeah. So like, okay, so they're not even gonna know until you're listening to that episode leading into the Halloween's not really a holiday. To the in the day though.
Mhm.
Is it a holiday?
Halloween's not a holiday, no.
No, then what is it, like a national recognition of?
It's a national get your kids sugared up night. That's really all it is.
You might have to do trick or treating this year because there's kids in the neighborhood for the first time in over a decade. There's
Well, I get to work that night, so I can't do anything. So that's
make sure your lights off, dude. Because if your lights on and you ain't answering the door, you're gonna get shit.
I know. So
like I make sure not even to order stuff that night. Like I won't order food. I won't order Walmart. I'm like our house is quiet because normally there, like I said, it's this past year some people moved in up the street, I guess, and now during the day and the weekend there's like yesterday Saturday there was a couple kids like running up and down the street doing biking and skateboarding and stuff, and I'm like, I'm like, shit, we gotta go buy candy now.
See, I thought you were going to say, what if we select the same movie? At which point I would say, then we just review it twice on the same episode.
Oh.
We got if here's the thing. If we select this in the very, very minute chance that we select the same movie, we have to review it as a thumbs down both first and then review it as a thumbs up. We have to force ourselves to review it in a way that we would not review it.
Okay.
So, but the chance
weird. We have to go Twilight Zone with it. Okay.
Exactly. But the chances of that happening are pretty small. So my question to you, Ben, just to make sure, are you choosing Nightmare on Elm Street 3?
No.
Neither am I. Good.
Okay.
So that's our schedule for
I
October.
might have told you in in a past conversation which one I'd like to pick, and it is a slasher film, but
Yeah,
I have to find it first because I actually don't even have a copy of it. I forget how I even seen it. I think I saw it on one of the I think I might have saw it on like Thriller or one of those streaming sites.
Mine I only saw in the theater, so that kind of gives away the fact that it's not something like the original Dracula or, something or the crocodile from the Louisiana swamp or whatever that one movie was in like the 1950s.
We were gonna do I Know What You Did Last Summer over the summer because they had a new version, the new one come out, but we ended up doing The Naked Gun instead, and it was the same thing. And I think we picked the right one really because like I haven't heard much about the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I'm hearing that like I'm still hearing about the Naked Gun movie, not like a ton of stuff, but I'm still getting stuff on my feed about it. They released the physical copies. It's like $30 for the 4K Blu-ray, and I'm like, no.
All right, so Ben, what you got tonight? You got a couple things.
I do. I have a couple things. Okay, so first we're gonna do a Ben Does It So You Don't Have to. You want to do this? You got your song ready for that?
I would think if you think it sucks and something you won't want to do, well, guess what? Ben does it so you don't have to. Yeah. So, yeah, add a little Axl Rose on it. Ow, yow, yow, Ben does it. Ben does it so you don't have to.
Okay, so this one here, I have like I'm finally getting control of this. I think I have a bit of an addiction of buying physical media, and I've been buying like DVDs and Blu-rays. And one of the stores I found that you can go to, and it's not every one of their locations, but certain Dollar Generals have a DVD section, not just up in the front. I mean, like an actual DVD section.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through it, and I'm the good customer who goes through and organizes their section as I'm looking through it. It just helps me to know where I've already been if it's all nice and organized versus the mess that I see when I get there.
Yeah.
And so I organize their entire section and I look through, and I'm looking through and I see this DVD set for a season 2 for $3 for this show called Blood Ties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people might be listening to this and they're already like, oh, okay. And if you're not, here's what Blood Ties is. Okay, so if you watched all the CW, WB, UPN type of shows where it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and Veronica Mars, this is a show in that type of vein where it's Vicki Nelson. There's a series of books about the cases of Vicki Nelson, and Vicki, from I don't know what in the books it says, but in the TV show, she is a former police officer in the Toronto Police Department. It takes place in Toronto. This is basically Canadian Buffy meets Veronica Mars. So she used to be in the police department up in Toronto. She's probably in her mid-30s to late 30s. She's played by the actress is Christina Cox. And she ends up befriending this guy Henry, who is actually like a 500-year-old vampire, and he's supposed to be like one of the children of Henry VIII. He's the son, I guess, of Henry VIII finally got or something. I don't know. It has to do with the fact that Canada is part of the Commonwealth, so they have the same monarchy as Britain does. So they're playing off of that, which, not being Canadian, I know a little bit about British history, and I'm showing it right now. So he's supposed to be basically he's royalty. He's British royalty, but he got turned into a vampire. They kind of touch a little bit on the story about how that happened. They don't say why he's helping her, but he ends up helping her in solving supernatural crimes happening in the city of Toronto. And they even make a Ghostbusters reference, but I'm like, they should be referencing Angel Veronica Mars. Because Veronica Mars is about a woman detective. There's nothing supernatural on that show. It's a very good show. If you've never seen Veronica Mars, go watch it. And if you've already seen it, you know why you don't go watch a mystery again, because you know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And then, but this show here, it's like, it's one of those things, like, it only lasted for 22 episodes. And it is one of those things you can kind of tell why it only lasted for 22 episodes, because it does have a campiness and a kind of a cheapness to the production. But at the same time, it's actually kind of good. It just,
So you mentioned there's 22 episodes. So that season that you got, you said it's season 2, right?
season 2 has 10 episodes and season 1 has 12 episodes. It's really
Gotcha.
big.
Okay.
Yeah, it's done like an HBO or something like that, where it's like there's only like, they don't have a full 26 season run or 26 or 28 episode run.
Gotcha.
And,
So are you going to go back and try to balance out the series by actually trying to find season 1?
Oh no, I did. I found season 1 and I started watching it from the beginning, and I just finished watching episode 5 actually tonight.
Okay, gotcha.
So it was and like it's a good enough show where if you did like Buffy and Veronica Mars and Angel, and you watch True Calling and all these other shows that are kind of like around that same time, and it's the strong female lead with the will they not do it kind of relationship. That's what she has with the vampire guy. But then again, she's also, her connection in the police department is her old partner, who also used to be her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets suspicious, and it's got the whole love triangle thing going on. And but at the same time, it's like they don't really big complaint, they haven't explained the vampire rules very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't follow the same rules as Buffy, so they can't say, oh, maybe this happens in the same universe, because that's what I was thinking like the first episode. But once they started showing that, yeah, the rules are not the same, so it does not fall there. It doesn't follow the Twilight rules, thank God. But the rules that they follow, it's like he does have to sleep during the day. He can't see it, and the sun does kill him, but they haven't really talked about anything else. So I'm waiting for, hopefully, a flashback episode would be phenomenal to show how he became a vampire and maybe go over some of the rules. And also, why is he a good guy? Is he a vampire with a soul? What is his real motivation for helping Vicky out? Because I don't get it. The fact that she's named Vicky, that does show that whoever did write this might be a fan of Dark Shadows, which, if you are a fan of all these type of shows and Twilight and all this other, supernatural stuff, you might want to check out the 1960s soap opera Dark Shadows. I know it's 1,200 episodes. It seems like a ton. You put it on, go clean your house or something. Go do something while it's on.
That's a dirty house. If you're going to watch 1,200 episodes, we'll clean your house.
I'm saying, no, the show moves very slowly. You don't have to sit there and pay full attention to it. You know when it's time to look at the TV, because the music tone will change. And that's your cue that something you actually want to pay attention to is about to happen.
Yeah.
And you look at the TV for 2 seconds. Oh, wow, he's the murderer. Okay, let me go back to working on my whatever it is I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those shows. But I watched every episode of Dark Shadows, and it's every one of these shows are, to me, I could see the fingerprint, even just a little bit, of Dark Shadows. The fact that they named the main character Vicky, that Vicky was the main character at the beginning of Dark Shadows. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm giving the Dark Shadows too much credit. But I think that, because even in Buffy, I saw some of the stuff that definitely said this is Dark Shadows.
Yeah. So here, excuse my ignorance here, but here's my question for you.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of are the rules for vampires in Twilight is you're going to die if you don't put on your makeup and hair gel that day. What are the actual rules for Twilight vampire death?
I don't remember. I only watched the Twilight movies one time, and that's just so I can have credibility when I make fun of the movie.
Is it really that you'll die if you don't look like a K-pop boy band member?
You know what? I think that is one of the rules. I think
Okay.
I remember there's a scene where what's his name is putting his makeup on and they're about to get attacked, but he has to make sure his makeup's on perfectly before they go out to fight.
Does he then break into dance at that point?
Yes, there's a whole
Okay.
musical number. It's like a Bollywood movie.
Gotcha. Okay. So he basically, the floor lifts up and he comes out on stage, and to the way the what is the lake of lights, or what, how do they call it there? The ocean of lights, and all the girls start screaming for him.
Yes, and that, like all his back, and it's funny because he's a vampire, but his backup dancers are all werewolves.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing ever. Yeah, this it's like, and people say shit on these movies, but I'm like, if you like K-pop,
Mhm. There you go. See, yeah, that's. I think that the Blackpink movie, what, last year, was probably a sequel to Twilight 3.
they're doing a Blackpink movie.
I think there was a Blackpink movie like last year. I think there's just some like, here's our movie, we're in concert.
You know, I'm so surprised that Blackpink's still going and BTS is still going. I'm like, I haven't listened to K-pop in like 10 years, and these groups are still around.
Yeah, I know.
Mind blowing.
I never really liked Blackpink from the beginning, so that knowing that they're still going, it makes me still not want to listen to them.
And then you look up Kim Hyuna and you just find stuff that she did from years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was like nothing from her. She did a US tour and everything, and she was smoking hot.
Except for like when she does, like, I don't know, Instagram posts or something like that that are provocative type of posts or whatever.
I don't follow her on Instagram. I just know, like, I looked her up on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I found her with a performance with Ellie, which was awesome. I've seen it before, and because Ellie is just awesome. And what is she up to? EXID, are they still up to stuff? It's like,
Yeah.
it's, but it's Blackpink and BTS, and they got people who do BTS. Like, I don't even know if they know what K-pop really is. It's just their friends are into it type of thing, I think.
Well, to answer your question, the XID is doing nothing at this point. A lot of it's like the standard K-pop, the turnover rate is so dang fast on these groups. I don't even know what's going on in that industry anymore, which is actually funny that we're talking about this due to, because of our main topic tonight.
Do you want to just jump into the main topic since we're talking about it?
Let's do it. But I know you still have one more thing you want to do. Do you want to throw that at the end?
I'm trying to remember what it was now. What did I tell you about?
Wrestling recap?
Oh, the wrestling recap. I can throw that at the end.
Okay. Yeah, let's just jump into our main topic tonight. So here's our main topic.
Okay.
Our music taste by decade. How has it changed? How has it evolved? So, and I've actually, and really what made me think of this to do it by decade is because I've noticed with my taste, each year I have what I call a cataclysm, which is where I have a shift in the music I listen to, and it's either a minor one or it's a major one, and it actually alternates. And it actually, what's weird, it alternates on the same type of years. Like, I first started listening to music in the 80s. The 90s, I had a major shift in 1992. 2000s, I had a minor shift in 2004. 2010s, I had a major shift in 2012. And 2020s, I had a minor shift in 2024. So it alternates, and the major shift is always on the 2 and the minor shift's on the 4. It's really weird. It's not something I planned. It just seems to have happened that way. So I kind of wanted to go over what we used to listen to, what we're listening to now, how we got to where we were. And what year do you remember starting, when you started really listening to music, man?
Oh God, probably 4, 5 years old. Like listening to just like records and stuff, like because my parents would buy me stuff, and then
Okay.
I remember the Monkees.
Mm-hmm.
were replaying. They were playing all the Monkees episodes on Nickelodeon, and I really, really got into the Monkees. And my aunt, who was also my godmother, she took me out to the record store at this old mall, the Naugatuck Valley Mall, and I bought like the best of the Monkees, and I would just like listen to it over and over again. And I got upset because the songs that were on the episodes were the ones I was looking for, and some of them were on the tape, but it was mostly like stuff I never heard before. And because it's a thing with like, I think it's a kid thing where like I don't want new stuff. I want the thing I'm looking for. Where like you should be, oh cool, there's stuff I haven't heard before. I'm like, fast forward.
Yeah, I know, I get it. So you're talking now the 80s, right?
Yeah, that's the 80s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's like, that's I have memories with that same aunt, like watching the Superman movies for the first time on TV, the extended cuts, which then when I watched it later on DVD, I'm like, I remember this movie being longer.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have the TV cut, and it's a lot longer. But yeah,
We're into the 80s.
in the 80s, I remember everything was on tape. Or I would listen to my stepfather's record collection because that's what I had access to. And he used to have the record of the month club type of thing. Like he had Columbia House, and he would never remember to send back the form to tell them he doesn't want the record.
Yeah.
So he would just get a new record in the mail every week or every month, and then just send them a check.
Mm-hmm.
He was just too busy. Like it's the amount of time it took him to write the check might have been longer than it would have been for him to just check the no box and send them
Yeah.
to him. But whatever.
That's how you make your money.
You know, it might have been just thrown on his credit card now that I think about it. And then that makes it even easier because it's just one check you write for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Trust me, I don't use credit cards like that, but I get why people do because literally that's what it is. It's one check versus many. And he had a lot of classic rock stuff, so I would listen to like, even when I was younger, now that I think about it, he used to go and play softball, and then he would take my mom, and my mom would take me, and we would go to the park, and then after that, they would go out to this, they'd go off to this dam where there's this little area where you could park your cars, and they would drink beer, and they would listen to music, and my favorite track was Money from Pink Floyd. Not the song itself, just the beginning part with the cash machine making the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to hear that one part.
Yeah.
And so I would listen to that, and he had an 8-track or something. And so I would listen to that, and then on tape I'd have like Paula Abdul. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. A lot of the singer, actually I was really into Paula Abdul. Listening back to it, I could hear how bad it is. But back in the day, yeah, because like there was everybody had like their favorite girl, like who and then back then like Mariah Carey was just starting. I think that might have been more into the 90s though. We had a station here called Kiss 95.7. Was like, I don't know how they are nowadays, but then back then they were like the big hip station with all the latest songs, and you would just put Kiss 95.7, you would just put it on, and then, stuff that everybody did at that time. You would put a tape into the tape deck, hit record, try to pause it after the song ended, and they would and try to cut the DJ out, Yeah.
And that always bugged me. That always bugged me that they talk through the song.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There was one tape that I think it might have been a Paula Abdul tape, now that I think about it, where it was like, one of the kids in the neighborhood had it. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden we're making copies. Actually, that happened a lot, where somebody would go out and buy the tape, and then one of us had a dual tape deck. Actually, it was me. I'm the one who had the dual tape deck, and I would just make copies.
Yep.
And now we all have it.
Yep. I'm gonna get to that one too.
Oh, bootlegging was mad easy back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It would, and if somebody had it on CD, even better, because I had a CD player, and then when the tape deck was all built into the same machine, so I would just go and record tape still off the CD.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, it was a lot of. It was. I mean, I did the same thing with records too. Because the tapes, I had a portable tape player, but I didn't have a portable record player, so I would record all my records too. Um, not all of them, select stuff. And so yeah, it was a lot of that was just classic rock in 80s into early 90s pop music off of the local radio station, whatever the top songs of the days were.
So for me in the 80s, I never liked the radio stations. I still don't like radio stations because I don't want to listen to songs that I know I'm not going to like. So I never listened to radio, but I did watch MTV a lot. However, I mean, when I started music,
Yeah, I didn't even talk about the MTV and stuff. We were, yeah, well, yeah, that too. And it was the same songs that were on Kiss 95.7. So
yeah. So when I started music, I really wasn't into music. And it all started with me getting one Run DMC tape. And that was the only, oh no, I take that, one Run DMC tape and Tears for Fears. And those were the only two things I was really listening to for a long time, but I barely listened to music. But once Guns N' Roses came out, and I'd heard, Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, I was familiar with those, but it was Paradise City that really hit it for me. I'm like, this is my jam right here. So my dad was a big fan of rock, and he had bought the Guns N' Roses CD. So I asked my dad if I could, listen to the Guns N' Roses CD, and he's just like, sure. And he makes a copy of it and gives me the tape. And I tell you, I popped that in the first time I listened to it. My jaw was on the floor off of what they were saying because, I'm like 9 or 10 years old at the time. And my dad's like, this is great music. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the words that are coming out of their mouth.
how many times did you listen to him talk about Night Train before you knew what Night Train was?
Oh, Night Train was my favorite song.
And
That was
that song so many times. And then I'm like, maybe I should ask somebody, what exactly Night Train is?
Oh yeah, no, that was my, I didn't know what it was about at the time, but that was my favorite song the moment I heard it. But my dad actually, when you're talking about this copying the CDs to tape, my dad had a genius way to do it. And it actually helped me when I made tapes for my car. What he'd do was he'd record half the CD onto the tape on one side.
Yeah.
And then he'd flip it over right then and record from that point the other half of the CD. So you didn't have to fast forward to get to the second side. But then what he'd do is he'd rewind the second side and record half of another CD and flip it over and record the half of the rest of that CD. So the first side is the first part of one band and the last part of second band. And then the second side was the first part of another band and last part of the second band, so that you could choose who you wanted to listen to and you just had to flip the tape over. So he was really good at that. And that got to where I started doing tapes where I would measure out the time so that the first side would just barely more than the second side, so that you didn't have to fast forward it while you're in the car. You just hit flip and then start playing from there on. So I ended up with a lot of music that way because my dad would get quite a bit of CDs. Like he got Def Leppard, he got other bands here and there. And then I started getting into a lot of the glam rock stuff. And I would be picking up tapes every single week. Like I would be picking up Poison and Warrant and White Lion, Slaughter, like groups like that. I was buying tapes, but very rarely would I buy a CD when they're on sale. The first CD I bought was the Skid Row CD. And Skid Row plays a very important part in my life that I'm going to get to shortly. Let's say a little later. But I have no idea how many tapes I had. And I don't know how many, I'd listened to things just like once because I had so many tapes until I found one that I really liked. And then I just listened to it just so much. So there's a lot of music that I only listened to once and I didn't know, but I followed the band because I had like all their tapes.
Yeah.
So that was my 1989 now, or 1980s. Now I do want to say 1989, there was a group that came along that I did not get into, but I was torn between if I should or not, and that was Faith No More. Because I liked one of their songs, but I disliked one of their songs that was on MTV at the time. So that's another thing that I'm going to get to a little bit later. So that's essentially my 1980s was all glam rock and a little bit of rap. Oh, and I want to say I also loved Young MC. So he was another one I picked up. I'm pretty sure he was the 80s.
Okay.
So that checks out the 80s. Now, how about the 90s, Ben? What was the 90s like for you?
The 90s, I mean, okay, so every decade seems to have this, where like the first couple of years of a new decade still has a lot of the flavor of the previous decade on it.
Yeah.
And that in the 90s ended in 1992. It almost like the whole music world just like shook itself like a dog getting water off its back. And it's just all of a sudden they just went completely new. All of a sudden grunge rock was a thing, and we started getting gangster rap. And I moved that year, and I went from living in the city to living in a small town where I still live today. And when I got here, the music taste of the kids who lived here was different. In the city, everybody listened to like Kiss 95.7. They all listened to the hip hop, pop music, hip hop, hooray, ho, hey, And now I'm in basically what people call the sticks, even though it's like not that far away from the same city I lived in. And everybody's listening to we were listening in the bus to Iron Maiden, Megadeth, all these bands like Slayer, Metallica, and it's literally just from being in the bus every single day and talking, like getting the nerve to talk to these guys. These are all upperclassmen. Like I'm in middle school. I'm a seventh grader, brand new. I don't know anybody, and I feel comfortable talking to high schoolers. I feel more comfortable talking to them actually than I do talking to kids my own age. So I'm talking to them, asking them like, they would always come on with this boombox and play tapes in the boombox, and ask them about the music. Who is this? What is, I really like this song. Getting introduced to like Iron Maiden and like I said, Megadeth, and like I really got into Iron Maiden. I really got into Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and all these hard rock bands. And it was weird because I was a different person on the bus than I was in school. And one of the girls who was on the same bus made that comment one time about how like, because at school, like I'm like getting bullied and like I don't have really any friends, but on the school bus, I'm friends with all the upperclassmen.
Yeah.
And it was just like, so on the bus, I'm more verbose, I'm more open, I'm having fun. Where in school, I'm like, can we get this day over with so I can go back to the school bus? In fact, there were days where the schools would get out at different times and was to be on the same bus. And those days, the bus ride felt completely different than days when we were on the same bus. And as time went on, I listened to more heavy metal, more rock, really got into Van Halen when I was in high school, and actually seeing them in concert. And it was a lot of rock and roll, not a lot, like a little bit of the hip hop, but I was with a lot of people who were into rock. So I didn't really pay much attention to hip hop. And I really didn't discover 90s hip hop until later. And then, just like a lot of 80s, 70s, like the glam rock that you were into in the 80s, I was getting into in the 90s.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned 1992 as a year of change, because 1990.
I forgot to mention Nirvana. I really on it.
So 1992 was my first cataclysm, a major cataclysm. So here's what happened basically is, do you remember me mentioning Faith No More and how I said one song I liked, one song I didn't?
Yeah.
1992, they released their next album. And the song that they released just blew my mind. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fight this anymore. I'm going to go out and get the CD. And I knew at this point, I'm still buying tapes. I'm still buying the glam rock tapes.
Yeah.
I said, for some reason, I need to buy this on CD. So I went out and I got the CD of Angel Dust. And I'm going to tell you, like, the moment I listened to this album, my whole tape collection went bye-bye. And I'm not exaggerating that. Well, my whole tape collection, almost my whole tape collection went bye-bye. Well, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. My whole tape collection did go bye-bye because I'm going to talk about who didn't. And I literally had like tons and tons of tapes, and it changed to just a stack of a Faith No More CD. And then shortly after, a second Faith No More CD. And the second one I got was the one that we did on the episode where we were talking about the perfect album, because that was the CD that I would listen to daily, at least once a day. And then I started getting to, I think the next group I got into was Alice in Chains, and then Stone Temple Pilots. And then this is where the one group that survived was Skid Row, because they actually evolved their music on their second album, Slave to the Grind, to be a whole lot harder. So they're the only group that made it through that cataclysm. Everyone else was gone. Bon Jovi was gone. Poison was gone. All Tesla gone. All of them just done. And then a year later, I discovered White Zombie. And unfortunately, you didn't know me during this time, but if you did, you would know how much I loved White Zombie, because everybody knew how much I loved White Zombie. If you were to take all this stuff that I'm doing now for Beanie and multiply that by about 100, that was my love for White Zombie.
See, I personally think that all zombies need love.
Yes, absolutely. No, so here's the thing: was listening to White Zombie was a moment that I felt like I need to pick up guitar. And that's actually what brought Matt and I back together, because he grew up across the street from me. So I've known him all my life, but I started getting more into video games. He started getting into Metallica, and we just faded away. When I mentioned Faith No More to him, we started becoming friends again. And then I walked up to his, window and said, "Hey, I want to learn how to play guitar." And I mean, this is like 6 days after I got the White Zombie CD. And he was like super excited, and I started learning guitar at that point. And I could actually pretty much tell you the day that it was that I learned guitar. It was March 3rd, 1993 was when I picked it up. Then I got into things like, Anthrax, and when I was getting out of White Zombie, I got into Corrosion of Conformity. But I also had, I accepted other types of styles of rock and music. Like I was into Jewel, and I was into Joan Osborne.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about that. I was like a huge Sheryl Crow fan.
Yeah, I was also into like Stabbing Westward. Not much, but into Nine Inch Nails, just like enough. But nowadays, I would listen to them to save my life. But I got into a lot of harder stuff. But I also got into a lot of stuff that's not necessarily poppy, but more softer rock and more soul rock type of stuff. So it was kind of a mix between I'm either rocking hard or I'm mellowing back. And the 90s to me was probably the best decade of music. Hands down, the best decade of music for me.
I know.
It's like
I would probably agree with that for a good chunk of music. It's a really good decade for music.
'cause I realize like I have like a really bad day. I get really upset. I'd pop into something like, I don't know, Pantera or something that's just so hard that and just so angry that you expect it to make you more angry and want to beat somebody up. But by the time I'm done listening to it, I'm so mellow and so happy. And that seems to do that for a lot of people. It's the reverse effect of what you're expecting with a lot of that hard stuff. I've never been to like a metal concert or anything where there's a pit, but I've heard the stories about how it gets crazy down there and punches get thrown and stuff like this, but also that people watch out for other people. And if someone's in danger, they will back everybody up to make sure that person doesn't get injured. Because everyone's still just mellow and want to have a good time while they're raging. So it's weird. So, but I definitely miss the 90s.
And that leads us into the 2000s, the naught. As I learned, that's what it's the 2000 to 2010, the naught.
Is that when people are saying not a lot?
No, it's like because it's not, as in like maybe there's nothing, so it's a naught.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's people use it, and I think it's spelled like NOUGHT. Is that what?
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you're like, that leaves us in 2000s. Not.
Naught.
That was a saying that should have died when it started.
So
all right, 2000, go for it.
When I was about like 1998, I was about like 18 years old. I get a job at Radio Shack, and these guys come in, and they come in like night after night almost, and they're buying parts, like little like stuff they sold at Radio Shack. We just all these different parts. Like if you ever see like a motherboard, you can actually build your own motherboard with the parts at Radio Shack. And so they would come and buying these parts all the time. And one of them, he finally goes and stops. He's like, "Did you come to like do you know so and so?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, did you come with him to like a party one time? I'm like, yeah. And dude, I'm horrible at remembering people. Like absolutely horrible. But some people like him, he was really good at remembering people. And he goes like, "Okay, well, I remember you, like, why don't you come over and hang out?" And I came over and we hung out, and this was my introduction to weed. It wasn't my introduction to the drinking and smoking. I was introduced to that already, but it's my introduction to weed. And they were listening to 60s psychedelic rock. The Doors, Grateful Dead, The Animals, The Zombies, The Association, all these groups. And I really just fell into with all this 60s kind of music. And, so we're hanging out and we're listening to this stuff. You're listening to it over and over again. And we're very conscious of I'm in my, going into my 20s, and he's like in his later 20s, my friend. And, we're not friends anymore, but we were friends at the time. And, we're listening to all this music, and we start saying like, okay, we've listened to this a bunch of times. Is there anything new? And he goes, "Why would you go new? How long has music been recorded?
Yeah.
There are decades and decades of stuff we've never listened to." So we started listening to stuff from the 40s. Like the I know, what's the name of the groups? I forget the name of the band, but like they're like these really great like jazzy swing songs. And the reason we got into that is we were playing a video game, a computer game. It had to do with airplanes, and it was like a World War II game, flight simulator type of war game. And they had a soundtrack, and it was all like all this swing 20s, 30s, 40s style music. So then we started looking for that, and then we listened to this, like all this music from all these different decades. And that's what I look at with like movies and television now. And we were doing that with TV and movies too. We were like, if you don't like what's out now,
Mm-hmm.
look backwards.
Yeah.
How long have they been making this stuff? You know, the movies and music, they've been recording it for over 100 years now.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that came out decades ago that you will listen to and like, or watch and enjoy,
Yeah.
or whatever. You know, if you're a reader, it's even better. Books have been made for thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
You have an endless supply to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's one of the advice that I do remember from him. And when I do think of like, geez, there's nothing to watch, I'm like, okay, let me look back.
Yeah.
And what's in the past that I've never checked out before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of in the early part of the Knots. And then, after I stopped hanging out with that group, I really all of a sudden decided to catch up on what I missed for 90s hip hop.
Uh-huh.
I didn't like know about Dr. Dre and that stuff, but like I started going back into Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and looked and discovered Tupac and Biggie,
Mm-hmm.
Notorious B.I.G., both who were dead at the time that I was looking into them,
Yeah.
and really, really got into Tupac. Like I had like all of the CDs at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I think I was a driving instructor at the time, and we would get like a 10-minute break, and if I would see like a small record shop, like a small CD store, I'd go in there, and I had in my head a list of CDs that I was looking for, and most of them were like obscure Tupac CDs. And at one point, I literally had all of the CDs, like even the more obscure one. I had all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I ended up selling everything off. And stuff like, yeah, and it like tried to get into the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm a little bit into them. There's just some stuff I'm not like not all of their stuff. There's some of their stuff.
Yeah.
And that was later on. And then yeah, that pretty much covers the 2000 and knots. That covers my 20s.
Gotcha. All right. So for me, for the 2000, I started rolling in on the stuff that I was still listening to. So I'm still like, you take bands like Candlebox, Chili Peppers. Those are really what's driving my, how I'm learning to play guitar, how I'm learning to play bass. And I'm also picking up mandolin at that time. So those are still pretty prominent. And, my favorite groups are changing every few years. The last one that I liked was Primitive Radio Gods, and it's from like 2000 into 2004. 2004 is when the next Cataclysm hit. This one was kind of more minor. What had happened was I started watching a lot of anime. Matt and I were watching a lot of shows, and I would hear the music that started out the anime, and it was cheesy at first, we'd make fun of it, and stuff like that. And one of them from Record of Lotus War just hit me hard. And I'm like, man, this song is just freaking amazing. And, but it didn't really change me. It was more that I kept watching more anime, and the more recent animes at the time, the music to me started getting better. And the main one I really remember was Bleach, anime Bleach, where, I started like listening to all these songs. I'm like, man, I just want to hear this every single time I watch an episode. But then it was, I don't know if this was 2004, 2005 when this actual song came out. Now, I do want to preface this and say, I was very much a person before this that was, is the song in English? No, then I don't want to listen to it. I was very like anti listening to or watching anything that's in a different language. And this just totally changed me. And that was, an artist that is actually Korean, but was singing in Japanese, which was Yuna. She did a song at the end of Bleach that just kind of turned everything upside down for me. And that's when I started really going out and hunting all these other songs I listened to in anime, and started following the artists and hearing more of their stuff too. And what happened was I held on to the music that I was listening to at that time. I still had that 90s rock, but I started going in the direction of listening to a lot of J rock and some light J pop. Not too much. I was still more into rock. But I mean, there's artists during that period like Tomoko Kawase, or Move or Suji Shon, that to this day I still follow them, because they did some really exceptional stuff. And in the 2000s, that's also when I got married, and our first anniversary, we went to Japan. And that, it's hard getting imports. Usually like a CD is going to be like $50 or $60 if you want it to import it. So I took some extra money and basically started buying all the CDs that I felt like I needed to get my hands on while I was there.
Yeah, I did that in Korea too.
Yeah. So I came back with quite a bit, and I came back with some artists that I hadn't heard before. I got to hear while I was there. And it's still really good music.
Mike, I showed up with a suitcase, and in that suitcase was another suitcase along with my bag, along with my load and stuff.
Yeah.
And that other suitcase was literally just for everything I bought in Korea.
Please. So also what's funny is that I mentioned that I got into young MC.
Mm-hmm.
2000, I got back into young MC because I found out he was still doing stuff. So that's really, and I never really was into hip hop except for that Run DMC tape and Young MC, and I still kind of like Young MC to this day, even though it's really cheesy. So that really covers my 2000s. Everything was J rock for me for the majority of it. And I was actually making CDs for Maria because she was getting into the music as well too, so she could listen to it in her car. So because I like making mixtapes. Going back to like the 90s, I used to make mixtapes for friends and just send them in the mail. And I learned how to make a mixtape, learning how songs balance each other out and complement each other and so forth. So I like making mixed CDs for her car and for my car.
I'm looking at the time. Do you want to do a part?
I want to keep going.
Okay.
We got 2 more decades. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, we're going into the 2010s.
Yeah.
So the 2010s, I was listening to, like, sort of getting back into like a lot of 80s pop. But like stuff 80s pop I didn't listen to a lot when I was like a kid, like more into like the 80s, like stuff that I would have been too young to appreciate at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had the Sirius satellite radio at the time. And the Sirius radio had the 80s on 8, and we would just listen to that like nonstop. Like I would bring it into my job. I was working doing security at the time, and we would listen. We would do a thing. We would put 80s on 8 on, and we would guess the name, or we would guess the year the song came out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would have the thing that would come across the screen and tell you what, like, the name of the song, who the artist was, and the year it came out. And I was, because we didn't want to do like who the artist was, what the song was, because that might have been too easy. Because it allowed with like 80s like pop like hit songs. So yeah, that was the game we would play. And then after that job, I ended up working at a nursing home, and that was around the time when I was getting my interest in North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And I would listen to literally the North Korean, they had this all girl group for North Korea. You know who I'm talking about?
I only knew of one North Korea girl group ever.
Yeah, that's the one you're thinking about is probably the one I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
And but they were like, they're very talented musicians, and the violinist was just amazing. Mm-hmm. And I from learning about North Korea, learned about South Korea, got into K-pop, and it was K-pop up until pretty much the end of the decade, where in like 18. Well, then I got out of it because of the whole thing with with that girl, and she made me feel really uncomfortable to continue to be in the fandom, and then I went and found the church. And the end of the decade, I was listening to Lauren Daigle and Elevation Worship and all these other Christian groups and artists.
Okay. Well, 2010s for me, you already know it's going to be kind of similar as far as one of the music tastes here. So getting into J-pop and J-rock, it did give me exposed to some of the Korean artists too. I mean, there are a few that crossed over at that time from Japan, or I'm sorry, from Korea to Japan. So I picked up a couple of them. I did hear G when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is relevant to this whole story of how I got into K-pop. How I got into K-pop is such a great story. Somebody shared it on this anime page and said, this is what's big in South Korea right now. I watched the video and I felt super uncomfortable watching it. Because they all look so very young, and they were young. So I'm like, I feel like a dirty man just even watching this. I'm not even attracted to these girls, but I feel like a dirty man watching it. So I was also playing, ironically, an SMT game online at the time, and I was running a clan. And we would have talks about music all the time. I ran into this guy in the game that was super big into both J and K music. And I told him that I saw this video for G, and I felt really, really uncomfortable watching it. And he gave me the best sales pitch I've ever heard in my life. He said, I should check out After School. The reason is because I can watch an after school video and not feel like a pedophile. And I was like, I don't know what to say back to that. So I'm just going to go listen to an after school video, just kind of hear what they sound like. And that was back in 2009. So, it's before 2010 technically, but I just heard, that song of them. And then I'm like, okay, well, I've got all this J-rock, which I'm still listening to. I've got J-pop now. It's coming in a little hotter. So, this kind of fits in with the J-pop thing. So I'll listen to this now and then. In 2011, this is a year before the next major cataclysm. 2011 was when Tiara put out Bo Peep. At least it might have been earlier in Korea, but when it hit in Japan in October of 2011, the reason why I know this is because Maria and I went out to Japan for her birthday in October, and we could hear it we heard it in a restaurant, and she thought they were saying Pocky, Pocky, Pocky. She's like, oh, it's your Pocky song. And I hadn't heard the song before. So, and then we went to check out like one of those 3D TVs, and it was a Tiara concert. And that's where I heard the song again. So I decided, you know what, I'll start listening to Tiara. I'll give them a chance. So we're at the very end of 2011. And I picked up Final Fantasy IV After Years, and I was playing that. And there's a shift from day to night in that game that I think it goes like a 45-minute period. I told you this is an interesting story because it's got so much to do, so many things, so many moving parts to it. So I decided I'm going to start listening to music that's going to be exactly 45 minutes long, so I know when the night and day shift is about to happen. It just so happened that the after school collection I had was 45 minutes long. The Tiara collection I had was 45 minutes long, or roughly that. So I was listening to some Japanese music, 45 minutes. Then, one time, okay, I'll just listen after school. And then, Japanese music. Okay, I'll just listen to Tiara. And then what was happening was the Japanese music was starting to get faded out. And it was, okay, I'm listening to After School now. Okay, now I'm going to listen to Tiara. Now I'm going to listen back to After School. Now back to Tiara. And this was, and I know it was 2012 because I was playing this in December 2011 into January 2012. Actually, I played it until March 2012. And I noticed that at this point now I'm just listening to K-pop. So I better start looking for more. And I found stuff like Sistar and XID, and other groups, Bestie, all these other groups. And I went into this hard. I was like picking up, because the music is very, very similar. So it's like, well, if you like this group, you're obviously going to like this group and this group and this group because it's all pretty much the same.
Oh, and it would be like, and that's how we met each other, was through K-pop groups on Facebook. And it was like you can go on there and just be like, hey, I really like, I really like Girls' Generation. Can anybody recommend a group that's similar to that? And you would get like 10 people replying in like 2 minutes telling you like, oh yeah, check out this group, check out that group. And you can go from there.
And if you remember, I was like the know-it-all encyclopedia of K-pop, like especially like the very obscure groups. And the reason why is because if you were a group, mainly girl groups, because I didn't like the boy groups because it was too American cheesy pop to me. If I knew like every girl group that was going on and every solo artist that was going on. I listened to like Ron and the Daisy and these artists that nobody has really heard of unless they're going full force into the K-pop world. But these are artists that have been around for a long time. Like Ron is actually two artists. One stopped after like the first album, I think, and then the second one took up. It's like superheroes where you have, Wolverine 1 is Logan, then Wolverine 2 is John Smith, but it's the same person. That's what happened with this artist, and this artist was putting out songs like every 3 weeks. So I was at a point where when I would listen to music, I would listen at least an hour a day to 3 hours a day of new K-pop stuff. That's not an exaggeration. It just depends on how many albums versus singles were coming out that day. Because I would be listening to like 8 or 9 new artists or new songs a day at least, or something like that. It was out of control. I was probably following about over 700 acts within my whole K-pop life, which technically lasted about 9 years.
So you're talking about this. I'm on YouTube and I'm like I looked up Girls' Generation G and I'm just looking through the line of all these different videos. There were like a lot of these videos have been uploaded multiple times.
Yeah.
And there's one girl who's talking about, this is news. This actually might be news. SM has apparently removed Jessica's voice from G.
Wow, that's bad.
Yeah. So I'm like, so does that mean like if you want, is it that like it's the version that like if you went on a streaming service and listened to it? Because like if you're listening to the music video here hasn't been changed in 14 years, so it's still gonna be there. Well, that's crazy that they went and 13 years. They went and removed her. So they went and retroactively removed a member from the band.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I remember when she left too. That was like a whole thing.
Oh, dude, I remember living through the Tiara scandal.
Yeah, K-pop's got like a ton of scandals, and K-pop fandoms are like they could be the most vile, wretched people sometimes, depending what group you're talking to.
Yeah, I also remember living through the Ladies Code incident because I was a big fan of Ladies Code at the time. So when that happened, I actually got a message from my friend. It was like, hey, Ladies Code had a car accident and one of them's dead. And I was at work And I kind of and I'm sitting there on the phones, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna ox on my phone for a second. I need a few minutes because this just couldn't have happened.
Yeah, no, I remember there's yep. It's so fun to bring it back though. Like I'm just watching the video and I don't have audio up, and I can tell by their dance what part of the song they're on.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
G G G G baby 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 G G G G.
Don't give us a copyright infringement.
Got it. That came to the copyright infringement.
That sounds just like Taeyeon right there.
I know. People can listen to you until they're having to listen to the actual song.
So anyway, so that was my 2010s.
So now we're into the current day.
We're now into now. We're at now.
So when did that happen? That
just now.
Chose now.
So when will then be now? Soon. All right, so let's hear about your current decade.
Currently, I don't really listen to an absolute ton of music. I recently I was listening to The Doors a little bit because they re-released one of my favorite live albums from them. But I didn't even listen to the full album. I've only listened to a couple of tracks from it. And then it's kind of just this seems to be a decade where I just listen to something if it comes to mind, but I don't sit there and listen to music like I used to.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with
getting old.
What's that?
Getting old?
Yeah. I think so. I listen to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather listen to what somebody has to say about what's happening in the world than listen to a song about GGG baby baby. I mean, or whatever, But I'll put in if I'm when I was out on the West Coast and I was driving that car up Route 5, I went and put on AC/DC and turn it up all the way and did that type of shit. Not I'm immune to music now, but I just don't seek it out like I used to. I think a lot of it has to do with I work at a church and I am producing 3 live performances. I don't I'm not making the record here or nothing, but I'm there making sure that the tech stuff works, that the lyrics are up on the screens and the cameras work. And so I'm at 3 live shows a week, and not for nothing, the band that we have, I would not gonna say they're the greatest band ever, but they're not bad. They're really talented people that we have. And so I'm seeing these talented people for free. Oh, you know who I saw today?
Who's that?
Krista Albright. In the flesh. She's up in Connecticut because I think her sister might have just given birth or something. I forget. She's up here for some family reason. And she came up with her boyfriend, and so I got to meet him, and I saw her today. So and she's a super talent. So I see these people who are super talented people who I met.
Yeah.
I spent a Thanksgiving with her. Not we weren't together. I'm talking about we happened to be at the same house for Thanksgiving. But still, and that's somebody who she's once she gets a good hit song, you're gonna know who she is. Yeah. So it's kind of hard for me to get excited about this stuff anymore because I'm surrounded by it all the time.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's toxic about the K-pop fan base is that, like you said, this person in real life. There's way too many K-pop fans out there that Sana from Twice is my wifey. No, she's not.
Yeah. And then they get super defensive, and then if you're in a friends group, you can't have the same wifey, or you gotta have different biases. It's all this bullshit. Coming to agreements, and it's it's so dumb. And everybody likes their girl for a different reason, even though it's all because you want to have sex with her. That's really what it is.
Nope, I disagree with that.
Okay, for most instances, you're one of the exceptions. But for
I
like, yeah, you might find her talented and things she like Mio is somebody who I'd hang out with.
mm,
And yes, I do find her attractive as well, but she comes off as somebody who's just mad cool to hang out with. Where not everybody, that does really into it. Like you, like okay, imagine you actually met this person and hung out with them.
mhm.
How long before you're like looking at your watch?
Yeah.
You know? Go ahead.
Okay, so but my turn for the 2020s, right?
Yeah, because I kind of covered it. We're
Okay.
through it, so
So going into there's a big even before the 2020s, towards the end of the 2010s with K-pop, I was starting to not like it as much because it was becoming super sexualized. I blame a lot of that on groups like Sistar. And I disliked it a lot. Like, you remember when they came out with the song "Touch My Body"?
it sounds familiar.
I will look it up. I hated that song so much, but everybody loved it. Um, so when we got into the 2000s, I had gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I can't do this music hunt every single day anymore. I'm gonna scale back, and I scaled back pretty hard. I went down to like maybe following like 60 groups out of over 700. Which it still sounds like a lot, yes.
Yeah.
Um, but they're also groups that aren't releasing anything anymore. So I'm really got it's like say 60 groups I'm following, but only 20 of them are actually putting out new music or whatnot. So that made it really easy. And I was still listening to K-pop for a while, but I wasn't as die hard about it. But I needed music for while I was working, so I was still listening to a whole lot of music. This is when I went on to like Spotify and decided to start using Spotify. Because it's just iTunes. I killed iTunes with the amount of groups I was listening to. I literally when I had a playlist for every group, and whenever I had to add songs to that playlist, it would not. It got to the point where it would not recognize anything after the letter L because I had so many playlists listed in it. So
I clicked on a video here, and I had to go in Twitch browsers because I didn't know how to mute it in Safari. And I'm playing G, and it says this was posted 16 years ago, right? But underneath it says original release in 2009, remastered in 2022, and it said 2022 on the video itself when it started.
I thought it was 2008 it came out.
Whatever. But the point is, how did they upload this in 2022 and still yet it backdates to 16 years ago?
Who knows?
Beautiful rendition. They literally went through and it's a full HD remaster of the classic Girls' Generation video when I got them on the map. And I'm just like, how do you do that? How do you get YouTube?
Something with YouTube. So they have some sort of deal with YouTube to do something like that, where they just
How many subscribers they have. I think once you hit over a certain amount of subscribers, you get a lot more leeway with certain things, including backdating your videos, which I don't think you should be able to do that. I think if a video got remastered in 2022, it should be timestamped for 2022.
Yeah. But. So anyway, so I'm creating a lot of like Spotify playlists for just artists I decide I want to hold on to them for some reason. And in was it May of 2024? This is when the most recent Cataclysm hit. This is another minor one. A friend of mine in the Philippines posts a video and says, "Hey, this video is blowing up in the Philippines right now." You already know where I'm going with this.
Oh yeah.
So I listened to the song. It was if you're listening to this, you have no idea who I like at the current moment. You have to be a new subscriber. So yeah, it was Beanie. And the song was Salamin Salamin. And I listened to it and I thought, my gosh, this is just basically K-pop. This is the same thing I've been listening to for over a decade now. It's a nice song, but I don't need to follow it. But then it got to the rap. And Ben, I would recommend for you You don't have to like the song, but I do recommend listening to the rap that's in the bridge because I'm big on the phonetics of languages. I like to hear how the languages sound. When I heard the rap that was done in Tagalog, I was just blown away by hearing how the phonetics worked on that rap. It was like it's probably like the best rap I've heard, or one of the best raps I've heard, just off the phonetics. So I kind of was into them. But then I wasn't really following them at that point. I just knew of them. And later they came out with their Pantropico video, and that appeared on my YouTube. And so I decided to take a listen to that. That song has lived in my head ever since the day I listened to it, and I can't ever get it out. And that's what changed me to where now I'm on a path that's more P-pop. And I think the reason why is because P-pop feels a lot like where K-pop was when I got into it. It doesn't feel like it's 100% driven off of visuals and 0% driven off the music like K-pop does now. So I think that's the path that I'm going to be on for a bit. So I have picked up a few other P-pop bands like G22, YGIG. What's funny actually is, back in, I think it was 2016, when I was into K-pop, I was like, okay, let me listen to what other music sounds like. Let me listen to some P-pop songs. And I heard this one song that I really thought was a good song, but I'm like, I don't really want to get into this artist because I don't want to start a whole music path at this point. So I totally forgot about it. I didn't write down the name of the artist. I didn't write down the name of the song. So it just disappeared from me, but I always remembered it and I could always see the video in my head. Well, about, I don't know, 3 months ago or so, it magically appeared on my YouTube again. And just seeing the thumbnail of the video, I knew exactly what it was. I was like, oh yes, I got to listen to this. And I'm now following that artist. And then about a month ago, Beanie did a cover of that song for a short. And I'm like sitting there going, dude, this is like one of the biggest P-pop songs for me because it's that holy grail hunt to find again. And it's my biggest group that's doing it. So that was pretty awesome. So yeah, so that's my 2020s now. And we'll see where I go in 2030s when 2032 hits and I throw away all my K-pop, J-pop, and P-pop stuff.
Well, that brings us to modern day, and I'm looking at the time. I think we should just forego everything else we were planning to do and just kind of call it a night.
Okay, so we'll worry about the wrestling thing a little later.
I wasn't going to say more than what's already out there. If you go look up some reviews of WrestlePalooza, you'll pretty much hear what I kind of had to say about it.
Well, if you get the energy, just do a short again.
Yeah, I'm not going to have it tonight, though.
Okay, that's fine. So we're calling it a night here?
Yes. So if you got anything you want to add in as the music comes up behind us?
Well, it depends. Who gets the last word?
I haven't had the last word in a while.
It better be K-pop. I tried to say that. Go ahead, take the last word.
Okay. K-pop.